Welcome back, Deadites and Ghost Beaters, and if you're new to the channel, I am Oldhead Gaming, and if you want to stay up to date on all the latest horror Asym information, make sure you hit that subscription button and turn on the notification bell for all future videos. So I am just going to apologize for this in advance. I know this video is going to be very long, I'm going to talk about a lot of things, but I feel like I've gotten to the point where I need to make a video where I kind of just break it all down. And if you saw the stream last night, you could tell I probably wasn't having a lot of fun. And after the stream ended, I made a slight confession that I didn't expect to tell myself, let alone what I'm telling you right now. I am not enjoying TCM. Not a bit. And I think there's some stuff going on that's kind of led to that. And I feel like we need to take a walk down memory lane to get to where we're at now. Now, I'll admit, nostalgia is a hell of a drug.
Yeah, remember Addicts? Remember? Hey, remember Ghostbusters? Oh, I remember. Remember Slimy?
How could someone think these things are bugs?
I long for the days of when I started playing horror Asyms. In 2016, I did not play any. Dead by Daylight dropped. I had a bunch of friends who got really into it. I just didn't care. I was still playing a lot of RPGs then, a lot of single player games, and then some. If I was playing multiplayer games, it was usually COD, Halo, Gears, games like that, Destiny with my friends online, like looter shooters for the most part, or straight up PvP shooters. Never played a horror game that way. Like, I loved horror games, don't get me wrong. Some of my favorite games of all time are just classic horror games, including the two PS2 games, Fistful of Boomsticks and Regeneration of Evil Dead. But I didn't start until they announced they were going to be doing a Friday the 13th game, and I did the whole pre-order, got the exclusive, got the beta, got everything. And I distinctly remember getting yelled at by my wife on Christmas weekend playing the beta in 2016 of Friday the 13th when she was like, you should be wrapping some Christmas presents. And I was like, I just want to play a few more matches with my friends because I'm having a lot of fun on PlayStation. And at that time, it was a little bit more simpler. I didn't have kids, so if I wanted to log some hours on a game, it was no big deal while my wife was doing other things. And then, of course, in May, the game actually dropped, and I played hundreds, if not thousands of hours until Miller's lawsuit killed it. But during that time, I had all my friends still trying to lure me into Dead by Daylight, and they were like, Halloween's coming, and you know what? I really don't care. My favorite in the franchise doesn't even include Laurie or Michael. I'm a huge Season the Witch fan, but I was like, you know what? It's not there. And then they announced that Freddy was coming in October of 2017. And even though it was the Jackie Earl Haley Freddy, Freddy always has a soft spot in my heart.
This is it, Jennifer. Your big break in TV. Welcome to prime time, bitch.
A Nightmare on Elm Street Part 3 is my favorite horror film. I've seen the movie so many times I could probably recite it in reverse and be okay if my life depended on it. But I started playing Dead by Daylight then. I kind of went back and forth between the two. And even when times I didn't really enjoy Dead by Daylight, which is a lot like right now, you know, it still was fun to play and kind of dabble in and, you know, do what I did. And I still mostly played Friday the 13th because I love the franchise. And that's the thing that connects me to a system. I did a video yesterday talking about should you watch Killer Clowns from Outer Space. It's a movie I love. In '88, that movie dropped. I saw it in the theater. In '89, it was on HBO like literally every day, and I just watched it over and over and over and over and over. And I still can watch that movie and laugh my ass off and enjoy the campy horrorness. And it kind of went hand in hand with Army of Darkness, which was very similar feel, campy horror, and I really loved it. And it's another thing that led me to why I love the Evil Dead franchise. And I feel like those connections we make with the comics, the TV shows, the movies, is what really makes us want to immerse in that world. And that's why I stayed away from Dead by Daylight so long, because I just didn't care. And now I do enjoy some certain things. I do enjoy Nicolas Cage. I like the Alien chapter, but it's always kind of a toxic, buggy mess. And I kind of like to visit, but not really live there. And That is the problem I'm having with Texas Chainsaw. Is when we played the tech test, you couldn't choose a character, you kind of just queued in. No one knew the place inside and out. They were dropping maps. We never saw the abomination that was Gas Station. And we just had fun. And I did about 30 hours and I enjoyed it tremendously. And then the actual game dropped. And I'll be honest, I haven't really enjoyed it since day one. The first day we played, it was okay, but there was a lot of hackers that kind of came from the beginning. Then they took us PC players and stuck us alone. So last night I decided to play on console, but I was level 0, so I was just getting mauled by everyone who were level 15 higher, which, let's be honest, that isn't fun either. And I just miss Evil Dead. And I'm going to admit it. I'm really sad to admit it, but the game was perfect. I have loved the Evil Dead franchise for decades, 30 plus years. And Ash Williams has always been one of my favorite characters. I love everything about the franchise. When the series came out, I actually got stars just so I could watch the series. Like, everything about Evil Dead resonates with me. Like, the franchise from start to finish.
I thought about staying. They offered me the chance to lead them, to teach them, to be king.
And when they announced they were going to be doing an Evil Dead game, it was kind of where I launched my YouTube channel. I was covering the game for almost a full year before it even came out, through all the delays, through all the micro announcements, through the pushbacks, through why there was pushbacks. When the game was coming out, I did videos a couple times a week and loved every moment of it. And then as we got to about 90, maybe 120 days out from the game, I was doing a video every day talking about crossover possibilities and expansions and what maps should come and what skins should come and all this stuff I wanted to talk about because I love Evil Dead, the game. And I was excited for it. And when it launched, it was beautiful. And when the game dropped, we knew there was a season pass. We didn't know exactly what was in it. And of course, it did kind of under-deliver a little bit because like the first 2 parts of the season pass were a bunch of skins, a map that was late. I mean, okay, whatever. But they did promise a lifelong thing of free stuff like maps and missions and stuff like that. Even modes, which, let's be honest, we'll get to that in a second. But we knew the first season had a kind of a regimen. We could expect everything about every 2.5 months. And there was a bit of delay between the start of Season 1 and Season 2, but right before Christmas, we received a notification that, there was a Pablo skin, and they were finally going to visit Ash vs. Evil Dead, and then in February, they dropped the first part of Season 2, which was the Ruby chapter, which brought Splatter Royale, as I mentioned, an absolute fail. Like, you couldn't miss harder than Splatter Royale, but the game was still fun. Ruby was an awesome character. And then, of course, we got notification that about 2 months later, there was going to be another update. Everything seemed normal. They were calling it the Who's Your Daddy update. And I was excited because we were finally getting Ball, which was absolutely the most asked for demon. And we were getting Brock, which was a disappointment to some because most wanted either Chet or Brandy. But Brock, for me, was a character I was really cool with coming. I was a huge fan of Lee Majors before Ash vs. Evil Dead. So his character made a lot of sense, continuing to expand the Williams family. And then they, right before it was about to come out, announced that they were changing the name from the Who's Your Daddy update to the Game of the Year update. And that's when things kind of went south for Evil Dead, the game. And we're here 140 days since with no content. No announcement of content, no announcement of maps. The only thing they've added during that time were 2 really shitty updates that just nerf Brock and 4 rounds of double XP weeks that usually shows up somewhere in the last couple of days of the month and goes into the first couple of days of the next month. They've been doing that ever since Memorial Day weekend, and we just had one wrap up here on Labor Day weekend. And the thing is, I miss Evil Dead. Like, I miss the excitement of Evil Dead. I miss playing Evil Dead. I miss the enthralling universe that is Evil Dead. Because I'll be honest with you, Texas Chainsaw Massacre for me is a franchise I've never given a shit about. The first 2 movies are watchable, and they're okay. Like, that's it to me. Just okay. And every other film in that franchise is an absolute dumpster fire. So for me, the game had to make up for the fact that I don't give a shit about the franchise. Like, I don't consider Leatherface an S-tier character. I don't put him on the Mount Rushmore of killers in horror movies. I don't find him that interesting. I don't find the family that interesting. And for me, like, it just never really clicked. And that is the difference between, say, Friday the 13th, which was made by the same company, Gunn, but I love Jason Voorhees in that universe. Or Killer Clowns, which is coming out, which is made by Alphonic, the other team that made Friday the 13th. And I love the Killer Clowns movie. I've seen Killer Clowns so many times that I'm just ecstatic. And I've got that same feel. I want to make content around Killer Clowns because I love the universe. I love Shorty. I love Red. I love everything they can possibly do with this. I don't love Texas, so the game needed to be better. I love the way Wes is, and I love the way Matt is, and I love how much they love their game. And for those of you who love Texas Chainsaw, it's a fine game, but it just doesn't resonate with me, and that's the problem. We all know Embracer is in a shitstorm right now. They already closed down 2 of their relatively recently acquired studios in Square Enix Montreal. And of course, Saints Row House Volition are both closed. They no longer exist. They had laid off quite a bit of Gearbox, the Borderlands studio. And now, this morning, they announced it is up for sale. And we know that things are weird with the money. They lost that multi-billion-dollar deal, and Embracer is kind of looking to cut ties. And I'm sure that doesn't bode well for Saber. I'm sure it doesn't bode well for Evil Dead the game. But Saber is still producing lots of actual games. They have 3 new games coming out just by the end of this year. And World War Z is still getting content. So it is this sad moment where I don't know where to go. I want to go home. I want to go play Evil Dead. When I play Evil Dead the game during the LXP weekends, I have a blast, and I enjoy it a lot. I still enjoy playing Demon. I still enjoy playing Survivor. I still enjoy dicking around on Ed Getley. This is a situation where I've got myself in a longing for a game that probably will never go anywhere else. Hell, I'll even do another confession. I voted for them in the case to win that Fear Fest award, and they lost, of course, to Outlast. Hell, they still haven't even announced who won their Discord "We're making pictures." Like, the game is dead, and I know that. And maybe this is just kind of a moratorium for me, and I know there's some really cool horror games on the horizon. Deceit 2 looks fantastic. I'm super stoked about Carnival Hunt, which will be dropping hopefully the beta soon. I expect to hear something about the beta in the next month. They're already starting to distribute the rewards from the Kickstarter. Alone in the Dark, unfortunately, got pushed back to January, which I was really excited to go back in that, especially with the fact that we got Jodie Comer and David Harbour now taking up those roles, which I think the remake was going to be really fucking awesome from THQ. Alan Wake 2 drops at the end of next month, which, let's be honest, I will be diving hard into that. But it'll be a single-player campaign, and once we play through it, that's all there kind of is to it. And that's why I keep coming back to Horror Asyms, because there's replayability. It's not a single-player game. And Dead by Daylight's in a really bad place right now with the locker situation. I want to play Evil Dead, but it's just like, please do something. And I don't want to play TCM. Now, I'm not saying I won't cover TCM and still drop all the latest news and information, but I don't want to play it. Like, it's a game I don't find fun. And that's something I didn't expect, because I had a ton of fun with it during the beta. But this is the situation I find myself. I just want to go home. I want to ET phone home. Like, I want to go back to Evil Dead. I miss Evil Dead. I miss that time. Like, I've never had a time playing a game where I had more fun than Evil Dead. The only game that could compete with the fun I've had for a longer period of time was World of Warcraft, which I played for a decade. I'm in a situation now where I know I'm not having fun playing TCM, and the longer it goes where I can't play my PC account to what I want, the more bitter I become. I understand why they did what they did. I don't agree with what they did. And that is okay. Like, I don't have to agree with their decisions, what they want to do for the longevity of their game. And I'm not insulting them for it. It's just we don't see eye to eye on that. And that's perfectly okay. You can disagree with a developer's choices without being an asshole about it, which is exactly what I do. I'm not throwing any hate or shade at the development team of Gun. They do a great job with it, and you know they absolutely love every fabric of Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I wish some of that was in Saber. Like, I wish Saber had 1 ounce of the love for Evil Dead franchise that Gun Media does for Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Because if I could take that kind of fervor and inject it into Evil Dead the game, I would have probably never played another game. Like, I wouldn't need anything. Like, Evil Dead with that kind of love would have been the perfect. The combat on Evil Dead is far better than anything we've ever seen in an Asym. And there's no debate about that. But, like, we know there's no future because they just won't do anything. You don't go this long with a company that their parent company is having problems and see any future coming. And that's the sad truth, that this video for me today was me kind of taking stock at where we're at in the Asym world and thinking that maybe the future is looking far down the line for me. Probably going to be focusing more on horror single-player games, like Alan Wake, like Alone in the Dark, upcoming games like Senua, until Killer Clowns comes out. Killer Clowns looks to be exactly where I want to go. It's going to have a combat much more similar to Evil Dead on a franchise that I love as much as Evil Dead. And I feel like that's where this channel will be heading. We will be dropping a lot more content on Killer Clowns from Outer Space, Alone in the Dark, Alan Wake, The Deceit, lots of other games. And we'll still be dropping TCM content, but it'll just be news. I just don't see myself playing it anytime in the near future again. Let me know what you think in the comments below. This video for me was just kind of a get stuff off my chest video. And sometimes you just kind of have to do that. And you might not agree with my opinions, and that's okay. It's just more where I'm at and how I feel about things. And one of the reasons I wanted to take some time off last week was because of exactly this. I was very mad about what happened with TCM. I was already unhappy with some of the games I was playing. And sometimes you just have to, like, address your own mental health and address your own enjoyment. Like, I love making videos about content I love to talk about. Like, I could make an Evil Dead video every day and be happy as a clam. And that is the feeling I'm getting with talking about Killer Clowns again. And it's not the feeling I get when I talk about Texas Chainsaw. So if you're upset about that, you're probably not going to see a TCM stream for quite some time. I'm sorry for that. But I have to do what makes me actually enjoy making content. But as I said, let me know what you think in the comments below. I know this was a tremendously long video for me, and I apologize for the length. But as always, thanks for watching. And later, mates.